Welcome! Woo! Thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, we'll be talking about outgrowing friendships. I just turned 30 in April this year, and outgrowing friendship is very typical. When you're in your 30s, late 20s, of course, 40s, 50s, whatever. It's very typical to outgrow friendships at certain points in your life, and so we're going to talk about that today, and the different signs you may experience when you have outgrown your friendship. Okay, so number one sign is when your values no longer align. When your values no longer align, I think this is very common. For example, you used to be, the kind of person that, you really enjoyed going out, partying, whatever, but you find, that that doesn't interest you anymore. Or you are single, not married, and then now you're married, now you have children, and you have that single friend, and it's like, okay, now I am married, I have kids, and you may perhaps don't understand what that is like, right? Or if your lifestyle you're growing into like a different lifestyle. So whenever that happens, then that is a very clear sign that you have outgrown that friendship. Your values are just not aligning. You're not seeing eye to eye. And with all these steps, it's very important that when you're experiencing those things, it is not for you to kind of like trying to force the friendship, trying to make it work no matter what. No. When it's time to move on, it is time to move on. Okay. And then number two. Okay. And then number two is when conversations begin to feel draining. Now, of course, there are always exceptions to this. If your friend is going through a difficult season or just a hard time, that could just be a season that they're going through, that you can kind of, help them through that for them to get out of that season, right? But if it's a perpetual thing of just conversations being draining, because I heard this quote that I really, really love, that when it comes to, and this doesn't even have to be friendships alone, but just that when you're interacting with anyone in person, for you to kind of like evaluate how you feel after that conversation. And then what the quote says is that, how do you feel afterwards? Do you feel like you have wings to fly? Do you feel like you have wings to fly, like you can just do anything after the conversation? Or do you just feel way down, like your energy has just been completely drained and you're feeling so down, like you're about to collapse? Very dramatic, but I hope you can understand what I mean, right? Like the fruitful friendships, kind of like the best friendships, is when you leave that person's presence, you just feel like you have wings, you feel like you can fly, feel like you can do anything. And then of course, that's not going to be, when it's a true friendship, that won't be every conversation, but just in general, with different interactions, they should, give you peace, give you joy, give you a word of wisdom, just encourage you, uplift you, that sort of thing. And so if you're in a friendship currently right now where you've noticed, it's been a long time, and every time it's just draining, being drained, then you might want to reconsider. And then number three, the third, definitely not the only, like last time, like I shared, but just for today's video, I can't go through everything, is okay. And then number three is when the Holy Spirit says so. When the Holy Spirit says so. This channel, it's faith-based content over here, and sometimes, if we can be honest, the Holy Spirit may ask you to leave a friendship without giving you a reason. Sometimes it's not that the conversations are draining. Sometimes it's not that your values are not aligned. Sometimes it's not that your lifestyles are not aligned. Sometimes everything is great, everything is perfect, but the Holy Spirit is saying this friendship, you need to leave it. And it can be very, very painful, like very, very, like I had to go through that. I would say last year, maybe the year before that as well, I had to go through that time of just leaving friendships, and it was very, very painful, very, very painful. But the true, like for us as Christians, like our obedience to God is number one, foremost, the most important thing that we can do. We have to be obedient. We have to follow what the Holy Spirit is saying. So it could just be spending time with that person, and then you could just hear and tell the Holy Spirit telling you, like, this friendship cannot continue. And with this video today, I want to encourage you that if you experience that, then please just go ahead and end that friendship. How to end the friendship, I feel like that needs to be a separate video, because even with me, like I was googling you, I was looking for YouTube videos to how to end friendships, because it's very, very high. It's like two approaches, like, okay, is he telling the person right away we can't be friends, or is it, you know, just slowly letting the friendship fade? You know, that could be a whole separate thing. But ultimately we have to follow, we have to be obedient, and we have to follow what the Holy Spirit is saying. Okay, I hope you're blessed by this video today. I am on a 30-day YouTube challenge, so I'm posting a video every single day here on YouTube, so please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.